Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I will start from the trial of power and the story of Dhul Qarnain and the story of Yajuj and Majuj, which are in Surah Al Kahf verses 83 to 98. The definition of power by the Oxford Dictionary is the capacity of an individual or group to influence the conduct or behavior of others, and the term authority is often used for power that is perceived as legitimate by social structures. Social structures can basically be placed into classes. For example, first class, middle class, and poor class. The trial of power is one of the trials that can hit people hard in the stomach, because this is in the list of our desires that we want. Money is like power, but the similarities between them is that money and power can lead to both ways, destruction and good. The trial of power is one of the hardest ones, because when you have power, you can do whatever you want, and it must be obeyed from people who follow you. A modern example is the state government or the Prime Minister. This trial is also one of those that will influence lots of problems, which will include bloodshed in huge numbers. The best example for this is when Hitler was dictator of Germany. He had all the power, money, and had all the control. But look what he did. Another example is Pol Pot. He brought communism, which is basically it's a government rule where everything belongs to the government and everyone will be treated equally. The trial of power is the hardest thing to control once you use it badly. It is a chain reaction. It will cause hundreds of problems and hundreds of deaths. And worst part of it is that it is hard enough for us to say sorry for things we did. But trying to correct what you did after harming hundreds of people mentally and physically, it is even harder. Having power is so unstable. Only some people can handle it, and it is very fragile. We as humans struggle to keep 5 kids under control, and we want to be kings or queens of the world. Some of the capabilities of misusing power and authorities can be seen from the past hundreds of kingdoms. They were torn apart just because of power struggles within them. The emperor of Persia was killed by his own son, just so that the son can get the power his father had. When it comes to having power, people would do anything for it. They would even if you were to tell them to go kill so and so, and they will do it because they love this life more than the next. Now let us move on to the story of Dhul Qarnain. The meaning of Dhul Qarnain means the two-horned one. The story starts in Surah Al Kahf verses 83 to 98. Allah says, "They ask you about Dhul Qarnain. Stay, I will recite about him a report. Indeed, we established him upon the earth, and we gave him to everything away," meaning that Allah is his affair in every matter. First of all, he had no financial worries. He was a king. Secondly, he had no power issues. As you may know, many kings have suffered a bad image, but in fact Dhul Qarnain didn't. Rather, he had a good image, and the people knew that he was a righteous king. His subjects did not fear him, rather they revered him. His enemies feared him. In Ayah 85, Allah says, "So he followed a way," meaning that he wanted to go somewhere. So he took a path of travel. He continued until he came to a place where the sun was going down in murky waters. And upon that area he found people. It was then revealed to him in Ayah 86, Surah Al Kahf, "O Dhul Qarnain, do you want to punish them, or do you want to leave them in goodness?" What does Dhul Qarnain choose to do? This is what he chose. "As for the one that wronged himself, then we will punish him. Then he will be taken to his Lord," which means after he dies, Allah will punish him. A punishment that is tremendous or unheard of. "As for the one who believes and does righteous deeds, then I will give him good rewards. And I will say to him from my affair that which would be easy for him. Then he decided to move on, and he took another path, until he reached where the sun is coming up. This would be somewhere in the east. He found that the sun was coming over a people. We have not made it against any shield. Ayah 19, meaning that there is not any cover from the sun for them against the sun, so they were basically savages who didn't even have proper dwellings. He then took another way to travel in between two mountains. There were a people, and Dhul Qarnain almost never understood what they were saying, meaning that they had a very different language. They had a unique way of speaking. But Allah gave Dhul Qarnain knowledge, and he had translators. The people said, O Dhul Qarnain, verily Ya'juj and Ma'juj, they have created a lot of mischief on the earth. So can we give you some money so that you can put a barrier between us and them? So what did Dhul Qarnain say? He said, that in which my Lord has established me is better than what you offer, but assist me with strength. I will make between you a dam. Dhul Qarnain asked for big bold blocks of iron, and they were able to bring large sheets of iron. Dhul Qarnain melted the sheets of iron until he covered the gap between the two mountains. We said blow into it, meaning blow into these furnaces to make the iron melt until the iron became molten lava and also became fire. Now, and then he asked for copper so that he can mix the copper into the iron. The copper, molten brass with iron forms a compound that is very strong, even stronger than steel. That is the barrier Dhul Qarnain had built in order to stop Ya'juj and Ma'juj from coming. Dhul Qarnain then said, this is a mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes, he will make it level, and ever is the promise of my Lord true. Some of the lessons we learn from this story is to do good things for the sake of Allah. Don't take advantages from someone's problems or state. Dhul Qarnain could have just asked for money for making that wall, yet he didn't take any money for it. He just did it for the sake of Allah. We also learn that we have to be humble and don't explode with pride. Dhul Qarnain helped a lot when he was making the wall, yet he didn't say like what we learned in the story of the two gardens. He didn't say this would stay forever. Instead he said, this is a mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes, he will make it leveled, and ever is the promise of my Lord. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.